What? Why is not everything ready yet? Like, can you please, like, just be a little bit respectful? Are your friends excited for your wedding? But I have never ever thought that I would be able to change the ways that I eat. Wedding day and where. Why are you never invited to the Chanel fashion show during fashion week? And that made me really anxious. The last relationship before I met Filippo was the worst relationship of my life. It's quite irritating as well, honestly, it's okay. There are so many good things that I've learned in therapy. What is one thing I'm the happiest about? Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. I was sitting down and thinking, I was basically responding to my DMs on Instagram, right? And I realized that I have so many questions that are repeating. And that also made me realize that even though I think that I actually answer to so many of your questions throughout my vlogs, I realized that since lately I've had so many big life changes, or I'm going through life changes, or I'm about to enter big life changes, I have not really properly sat down and informed you guys on many of the things about my life. Not that I guess in a way you probably don't really need that explanation, but since I have received all of those questions, I thought maybe it would be quite good to sit down and respond some of your questions that were repeating the most. Now, before we start, I wanted to say that there are questions that I have responded like 1,500 times, and I do feel like it's quite repetitive for people who have actually been following throughout. So, for example, like questions like, what is your job? How old are you? Things also that can be Googled, or things that I feel like I've repeated so many times, like, are you planning on having a family? Would you like to have children? And those are the questions that I feel like I responded in every single Q&A. So just in order to not have this Q&A like every other one that you can already find on the internet, I'll skip those and I'll try to explain the things that I haven't actually answered before on this channel. I hope that's fine. In case you still wanna hear answers to those questions, I will link those Q&As before, so you guys can have a look, enjoy, maybe have like a nice cozy afternoon filled in my Q&As. I'm sure you don't want that. I'm sure nobody wants that. But in case you do, I'll provide, okay? How's that? Let's have thumbs up for that. That I literally ask you guys today to ask me questions. So probably as I am filming, there will be more questions to answer, I guess. I love, by the way, doing Q&A. You know why? Because I feel like this is my only way that I can directly speak to you guys, unless we're talking about a live, which, by the way, I don't think I've ever done a YouTube live. What do you guys think about YouTube lives? Does anybody actually do YouTube lives? Well, let me know. Now, they're not going to be in any kind of particular order. I'll go with like the most asked questions. Most asked question. Now, I think this question came more than 100 times in this Q&A, and the quickest way to ask it is, as this person here asked, wedding day and where. When it comes to my wedding day, I know that obviously I have spoken about it a lot on social media, about my wedding, about my engagement. I've shown you guys a lot of the process, but at the moment I would like to keep the date and the location private. And the main number one reason for that is not you guys. Obviously I would love to share it with you guys, but the main reason is security and safety of my guests and myself, I guess. It's just because when you tell people like which date and where you're getting married, I think that it's kind of like a slight risk, if I can say so. And in a way, I really want to enjoy that day as the most beautiful day of our life, hopefully, or whatever, you know, like day with our friends and family and so much love, etc. So that I don't want to worry too much about like unnecessary attention. I would really, really love to kind of like share with all of you guys where it is, but then there are people that I wouldn't like to share it with, and unfortunately on internet and in this way of communication, I cannot choose who I share it with and who I don't share it with. So at the moment, with all of our planning and all of our organization, we have asked like every single party involved to sign non-disclosure agreements on those things, and even like our guests don't have the information, which is kind of crazy. But yes, so long story short, I would like to keep it private. Main reason is safety, but there are other reasons for that as well. And one other reason for that, if I'm very honest with you guys, and I like to be honest with you, and I think you guys will really understand me, is I don't want to feel the pressure on the day of people like sending me messages like, where are the pictures? Why are you not posting pictures from your wedding, etc. I really want to enjoy the day. I want to enjoy the time with my family. You know, like a lot of people who have already gotten married told me, this is the like one last time you will have all, or one only time that you will have all the people you love and you care about in the same place, there for you, celebrating your love. So really make the most out of it. And I don't want to be thinking about posting. Like I kind of did the same thing on our engagement. I didn't actually announce our engagement for like a few days after we got engaged because I wanted to enjoy the bubble of actually just enjoying it. And I don't know about the wedding itself, but I don't know how it's gonna be, like if I'm gonna wanna post live, maybe someone from my team posts. I have no idea, I haven't considered it yet, but I can tell you that I really, really want to do what feels right in that moment. And I don't wanna feel the pressure of posting and announcing and all of those other things. For me, my wedding day is not a social media stunt. It's the moment to celebrate love with our family and friends and to really just enjoy it. It's not a collaboration, it's not a partnership, it's not a, you know what I mean? It's really, really most special celebration of love that I want to enjoy. So for that reason, that's my kind of like emotional reason, and the other one is my practical reason. And also on the topic of safety as well, we do have some guests that are high profile guests, and also I think like as well for their safety, like it would be best to kind of like keep it as private as possible. So that's probably your most asked question. And now if that was your question, you can kind of just say like, okay, I have all of my questions answered. But that was the question that you guys asked more than 100 times. When and where? That's it. Do you wear extensions? If yes, what kind? If not, what's your hair routine? I need a tutorial. I have never worn extensions in my life. I mean, maybe for like a shoot or for something like that, but in my life, I don't wear extensions. I have like very, very dry, curly, coarse hair. That's my natural hair, okay? I mean, I know some people might still think that I'm lying. I don't know why would I lie about that. I am very, very, very obsessed with hair care. Obviously, I think that there are so many things that you can do, but I do a lot of styling of the hair. I also color hair. And like I said, I have dry, naturally curly hair, which requires a lot of styling and a lot of heat, which is not great for its health. However, I strongly believe that you need to feed your hair from the inside and the outside. So I believe in several different things. Thing number one, obviously supplementation. Who would I be if I would not mention that I think supplements for hair are so important. And of course, the supplement I would recommend would be Noah hair. That's what I take, that's what I've been taking. That's what makes the biggest difference for my hair and from what I found out also for your hair, from many of you who have purchased and ordered your Noah supplements. Other than that, I recently discovered the Lunesi hair care. Their hair mask is insane, you guys. Trust me, it's such a great product. My favorite products are the shampoo, the hair oil and the conditioner, I have to say, but also they have a great scalp lotion. Now, when it comes to hair care, you have to look after your scalp in order to have your hair grow more. You have to look after your ends in order for them not to be dry and then get split. And then you have to hydrate your mid-lengths. So scalp should be clean, first of all. So you need to like double shampoo probably like at least once a week, like kind of cleansing shampoo. So you cannot strip your skin, but you need to clean it from all the residue of products, etc. Then scalp like lotion or anything for like maintaining a healthy scalp is very useful. Also saying that the Noah hair supplement actually takes care of your scalp, takes care of your hair strand, takes care of like many different aspects of hair. Also the hair pigmentation. Like there are a lot of different mechanisms of action of that one supplement, which I think is why it's so great. The mid-lengths should be hydrated with a leave-in and the hair ends should be hydrated or like kind of polished in a way with a hair oil. So those are kind of my top tips for hair, all honest. If you want a hair care routine, I actually have done a lot of them on my Instagram and on my TikTok, even recently, but I will link down below also the products in case you guys want to check out the products that I recommend. Okay, this question. Hi Tam, how would you deal if your boyfriend's friends were not being very friendly with you? I thought that was quite like an important question because I feel like probably many people deal with something like this. Now, I am someone who believes very strongly in good communication, and I think communication is everything. I have to say I was not always like that. When I was younger, I definitely did not know how to communicate well, especially not my feelings. And I have also taught people around me nowadays to be better communicators. I always start by blaming myself. So I always ask myself, have I done something wrong? But that's just me. And that also makes me like a perfect victim for a narcissist, basically. But anyway, I would ask myself, okay, is there a reason for this? If there's no reason to this, I would speak to my boyfriend and say like, hey, this is what happened. This happened to me actually once when I was very young. I really wanted to be friends with my boyfriend's friends at the time, but they really did not like me. Yeah, that was it. And I really tried, but every time he wasn't around, they would mistreat me. So anyway, I told him, and we all had like a very nice, good conversation. And I obviously realized I'm not going to be best friends with these people. But after that conversation where I set like some boundaries and I demanded respect, I actually had the respect. I did not have the friendship, but I had respect. And I think respect is really what you're after. You shouldn't really demand for someone to like love you or whatever if they don't. It's okay. You cannot be everybody's cup of tea, but respect should always be present. And I think that's something very, very, very important. Hi, how big is your team? Curious about how many people and jobs involved daily. I don't know how many people and jobs are involved daily, but I think, let me check on the payroll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 9 people, if you don't count me, involved daily. 10 people. So we have 10 people involved daily, I guess. And then we have some people that are not actually working every single month, but are sort of like hired per occasion or when necessary. So some sort of like freelancers as well. Why did you decide to not have Milan as primary base? Now, I actually also got this question a lot of times, just in like different angles. So sometimes people would ask, why no more Milan? But most of the times people would actually ask, what made you and Filippo decide Monaco for a second home? I'll answer kind of this question so that it answers all of your questions, if that makes sense. Well, here's the actual true story, which I think, I don't know if I've ever actually said this story before. So we lived in Paris, Filippo and I, which is where we fell in love and where I moved from England for him, basically, because I can do my job from anywhere in the world. And after a year in Paris, Filippo got a job in Milan, and he was really, really excited about it, and I was very excited for him. And I told him, listen, I still love Paris, but I would like to kind of like stay in Paris, keep the apartment in Paris, you move to Milan, and then we can just like go back and forth, but keep both places. And that was the deal, that was the plan, that was all great. He wasn't even gonna get like a big place in Milan. He wanted to spend as much time in Paris with me, but then our apartment in Paris got robbed and I didn't want to stay there anymore, so I decided to move to Milan as well. I actually never really made a decision, I just came to Milan straight away, and Filippo at the time lived in a hotel room. We often talk about this actually, and it's a very sweet thing to tell because we lived in like maybe 12 square meters hotel room for 3 months. First we lived 1 month, that was during the, was it a Euro Cup or a World Cup? So I guess, could it be a World Cup? No, I think it was a Euro Cup. Anyway, we lived in this hotel room that had nothing, and then that hotel was closing for August, which is kind of crazy, so we did not have home, so we had to pack up that whole hotel room, put like everything we had in storage, and we just like traveled whole of August without a home. And then we came end of August, we found another hotel room. We couldn't find really a place. That was crazy. And we lived in a hotel room for 3 months, which was really, honestly, so challenging because I could not do my job, I could not film my videos, I could not do anything. But Filippo often says that that's when he really was the most shocked about me, because I never complained about our living conditions or situation that we were in. I never complained, I never like demanded anything. It was just like, it is what it is, and I kind of accepted the situation. And then finally my friend Matteo helped us find an apartment. That was an apartment of his friend, where we then lived for the next, I want to say 3 months. Then we finally were like, okay, we got a home. So it took a very long time. It took like 6 months for us to find our home. And also it's interesting because the apartment where we lived for the 3 months that my friend Matteo helped us, our other friends were looking for a place and we kind of gave it to them. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway. So yeah, it was all like a happy ending for everybody, I guess. And that was the main reason why in the end we came to Milan for Filippo's job, but also because I kind of was not sure really what I wanted to do and all of that other stuff. So the reason why we're moving to Monaco is for the exact same reason, which is Filippo's job. And to be honest, I love Monaco. We both love Monaco. We are so happy when we are there. There's so many reasons why we wanted to move there and would love to live there. Now, I know that many of you know, but Filippo works quite a lot in sports, in fashion, and in Formula One. So for him, Monaco just makes perfect sense. And, you know, we always wanted to live there. And then we started looking for a place, I would say, actively in August. I think in October we found a place and something like that, basically. I don't know now. I don't want to like make up some dates, but that's kind of how it is in my head. And now we are just doing like final bits and bobs before we can actually move. But obviously with our lifestyle, it's quite difficult because we travel a lot. There's fashion week, there's this, there's that. And then in a way, we get a little bit like, time is going, you know what I mean? Like time flies, and like whole February and a bit of March, we were at Fashion Week. So it's not like I was thinking about Monaco moving or the wedding or this and that, but you just have to. But those times are really, really busy for us. So yeah, anyway, other than those reasons, if you ask me in my soul, what is the main reason we're moving to Monaco? What is one thing I'm the happiest about when saying we're going to live in Monaco is the climate. And I don't really care about the climate, okay? I don't care if it's raining every single day. I know this is such a crazy thing to say, but for me, what's crazy is when people say, oh, I cannot live in London because of the weather. What? Like, for me, living in England for 14 years was the best thing that could have happened to me. Like, that is the country that gave me so many opportunities, so many great things. I cannot, like, gave me education. I studied at university in England. I loved England. I love England, okay? So I don't, like, weather is really the last thing that I would care about. I don't care about the weather at all. But when I say climate, I mean pollution, because after living in Milan, that is literally the most polluted city in Europe, I think, is just insane. And the reason why it's polluted is its geographical position. It simply lies in a valley between a lot of mountains, so the air actually doesn't move and it stays around here. And there are a lot of industries around, so it's kind of like quite unfortunate. But literally, guys, if I tell you, if you don't live here, you would never notice that. But when you live here and you leave your house, it smells like pollution. It stinks. It's like the air is just so bad. And I complain about the air quality in Milan a lot to my friends. So it's a big topic. Like, if you want to do some physical activity and like run on the street, I'm like, how do you do this? I'm sorry. How do you know? It's just insane for me. So yeah. Other reason that I think is very important for me is safety. Monaco is just known as a safe haven. I like that people have to respect rules, law. I love the fact that to move to Monaco, we had to have CRB checked, which for me is nothing new, because as a pharmacist, you have to have your criminal record checked every single year. Even as a pharmacy student, I had to have my criminal record checked when I studied. I'm sure that many healthcare professionals who are watching this will be familiar with this, but for Filippo, it was probably like the first time or second time, maybe, I don't know, like in his life that he had to have his criminal record checked. You have to have like conversations with police, and I kind of like that. I just like law to be followed. I like the rules. I like that there's authority. For me, that's important, okay? I used to be a nerd in school. That's it. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. Other than that, I just love that in Monaco, I can wear my stuff, I can enjoy my life. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place, I think. And overall, I'm happy. I'm happy to have that experience as well. And also, even if we end up not liking it, I feel like it's not the end of the world, you know? Because we can just experience things while we're young, while we don't have kids at school, while there is the opportunity to experience living in different countries. And so far, Filippo and I have lived in 2 different countries together, and there's going to be a 3rd country that we'll live in together. So why not? Someone saying, you wouldn't share, but your exact hair color. I love it. Thank you so much. I would share with pleasure, but honestly, the 2 questions that I get asked and I don't know how to answer are your nail color and your hair color. And the reason why I don't know is because when I go to the nail place, I open this catalog or like have a look at those little nail palettes, whatever you want to call them, and I say this one, and it says 019, and then the lady goes and checks which bottle is marked as 019, and she would do that color on my nails, but it's not like, I don't even know what the brand is, what the name is, etc. And the hair color kind of similar. I go to my hairdresser and I say, let's make it cooler. Every time, that's what I say. Let's make it cooler. Let's do the toner. I haven't done highlights in a very, very, very long time, but I just like a cool brown color tone. I don't like when it's reddish or when it's warm, and that's all I can tell you. That's what I ask for when I go to the hairdresser. How do you manage tiredness and sickness? It seems like you don't sleep and have a magic pill. I wish. I do definitely sleep. I sleep a lot. I would say I sleep at least 6 to 8 hours every single night. Sleep is very important to me. Best anti-age advice I can give is sleep. That's what I can say. But how do I manage tiredness and sickness? Now, I think, first of all, thank God, I don't really get sick that often. And when I do, I kind of push through it often, which I don't recommend. But now I got a little bit sick after the fashion week. And honestly, I know why I got sick. People smoked around me in a closed space and it really irritated my throat, and that then damaged, I think, the lining of my throat, and I got prone to a bacteria or virus or whatever that was around. But in general, I really, really, really dislike smoking, I am the least conflicting person. I never like conflicts, but if someone on the street is standing on the door and is smoking and I pass through their smoke, because they don't care, they literally blow the smoke into other people's faces, I would literally stand and say to them, I don't really need to breathe in your smoke. Can you please just be a little bit respectful towards the people around you? I remember once I was entering an airport and there were 2 people smoking right at the door, and in order to enter the airport I had to go through this cloud of smoke. And I just feel like I'm so allergic, guys, to smoke. I don't know how to tell you this, but as a child my father stopped smoking after 25 years of being a smoker because of me. He had to stop because I was I cannot have this around me. This is really, 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 it really irritates me. So I think that's the reason why I got sick, but then I really just took 2 days off and I got better. And I think that regular supplementation and also being a little bit crazy helps, because I really do have a crazy drive, so I need to do stuff. I need to keep going. I'm very, very, very driven person, so it's quite irritating as well, honestly. It's okay. Have you ever felt completely lost in life? If yes, how to overcome it? Of course I felt completely lost, you guys. I think most of you know the story already, but when I graduated from pharmacy, I felt completely lost because I was not sure if that's what I wanted to do for the next 40 years of my life. I felt like that was not the right thing, I just felt inside, I'm a very intuitive person, and I felt like this is not what I'm supposed to, I'm not aligned with my path. I'm not on my right path. When you're on a train and it's just you realize it's a wrong stop. Well, that's kind of what happened to me. That was the feeling. I was this is the wrong stop, and I keep going further and further away from my path, but I didn't know what my path was, and I felt very stuck because I was in England on a working visa, right? And in order to be on a working visa, you have to be working, and an employer has to sponsor you. So I had to stay at that job. I was quite stuck, or I could have gone back home. But because I'm kind of crazy, and I really was so determined that I'm gonna figure out my way, I just persisted. One thing that when I see in young people, I don't know how old is this person that has sent me this message, but I feel probably quite a young person. I'm just looking at your message. You look very young. And I think that it's very normal to feel lost when you're young and to not sure what to do. But I think what's quite good when you're a young person is to feel a little bit discomfort. To live in a very small apartment, to do the job that you don't like, to have a very long commute to work. I commuted to work. I worked, so I lived in Brighton. I worked in, Soldin and Rottingdean quite close by, but I also worked in Polegate. Don't ask. What was this place called just outside of, I cannot remember this one pharmacy where I worked at, Something Park. Something Park it was called. I'll put a name here because my sister will remember. I know she will remember. But Polegate from Brighton was far. There was one other place that even a train wouldn't take me. It was so far, and I hated that pharmacy. But it was so far, I had to take a bus and a train, and then the pharmacy had to pay for me a taxi to get to that pharmacy because it was just not even close to the train station and there was no bus going there. It was literally in a bush. The pharmacy was in a bush, so I cannot remember what it was called. And I had to leave my home at 5 in order to open the pharmacy at 8:30. So I think all those experiences were very, very, very important for me. And I think like when young people don't experience a little bit discomfort in their 20s at work, it kind of doesn't actually prepare them well for life, and it doesn't allow them to build the right set of skills, unfortunately. So feeling lost, doing things that you don't even know what you're doing, and kind of like hating the job is so good for you, actually. And I do think that maybe it's not the best advice, but you will figure it out. It's kind of like going through birth as a child, or a caterpillar leaving the, what you call it, becoming a butterfly, right? You need to like push through and fight in order to deserve the reward afterwards. Because if you don't struggle, and if you're not lost, and if you're not trying to find your path, you don't find it. It's simple as that. You stay on the wrong path. If it's quite comfortable-ish, you're very likely to stay on the wrong path. So I think the best thing that can happen to you is discomfort, because only after discomfort you will find something good. So I mean that for every aspect of your life. So the last relationship before I met Filippo was the worst relationship of my life. Like honestly, what was I thinking, first of all? Second of all, I was like super just not even like in love, like it was just like uncomfortable relationship in so many different ways. And honestly, I'm so grateful for it, because of that relationship, I understood like this is so bad. I need this, and this, and that's what I found. But if it wasn't that bad, if it was an okay relationship, I maybe would have stayed in that relationship and never would have met Filippo. You know what I mean? So sometimes being really like uncomfortable, is really good for you, because that's the way for you to find your path. It's the same way how I found optimistic way of thinking, high vibration, like a good kind of manifestation energy, because I was again so lost in life that I understood that I was like really like at the bottom. Like I was so unhappy with my job. I was so unhappy with my life. I was so unhappy with like the fact that I have 4 weeks of holiday a year, which is 20 days basically, which I was still like always answering the call because I had so many questions about like from the pharmacy, like where is this prescription, where is that, did you get this order for this patient, etc. So you're always on call even when you're on holidays. But out of those 4 weeks, I used at least few for fashion week, and basically I had no holidays. So I was just like very, very unhappy, and that was the reason why I found the job that I'm happy with, because I was unhappy with that one. So hoping you're well. Did I miss the unboxing of the crock pochette? You guys, and unboxings, honestly, I mean, I love that you love it, but I think I pulled back a little bit from showing all kinds of different unboxings. There are a few reasons for that, not just the fact that I like whatever. I'm still showing a lot because I think I have a lot to show, but sometimes when I have so many things to show, I feel like, okay, something's gotta give, right? So the new pochette came into my wardrobe at Christmas. I was taking a YouTube break and I actually didn't get it in the boutique. I got it on Sotheby's auction. So I don't know if that helps or not, but actually what's so funny, when I went to pick it up from Sotheby's, the lady who gave it to me, she said that she follows my social media, so that was really, really cute. So hello, if you're watching. So you didn't miss the unboxing. There was no unboxing, basically. It is what it is. It's quite a funny story about that bag, but maybe another story. When it comes to jewelry unboxing, I kind of stopped doing them for one very annoying reason. I noticed that when I do a jewelry, there's so many like, okay, I'll speak in, as my therapist to say, speak in examples. So I did a Van Cleef unboxing. I can't remember, I think it was a pair of earrings last year or the year before. And then this website from far, far, far east used this clip, cut out the name when I said Van Cleef, but just like left the clip of me saying these earrings, blah, 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 and used it as an ad for their jewelry that they're making that is basically like a faux version of the earrings that I paid a lot of money for. And they used my face and I could do nothing about it. Obviously, I sent an email to TikTok. It was on TikTok. It was like a running ad on TikTok. And I sent an email to TikTok and they removed it. But I saw them like put it on Pinterest. I saw them put it everywhere. And then I got like really annoyed. Actually, same thing happened with like a Pucci dress. A lot of you have sent me that. I was showing and trying on a Pucci dress. And then a brand that does like fake Pucci dresses was using my clip to say that that's the dress from their website. I just cut the name when I say Pucci, you know, so that it was like just the dress. And when I looked at the comments, everybody was writing like, we're scammed by this website, we're ordering this dress, but they're never shipping and things like that. And I got so annoyed that companies do that. And I saw someone say, unless a brand has misused your content to promote their fraudulent services, you haven't really made it. But for me, that's something that really, really, really annoyed me, and I didn't know what to do about it. So how's your healthy diet going, guys? Guys, I completely changed this year, obviously, my diet, as many of you will know, for the kind of like wedding year preparation, let's say. But I have never, ever thought that I would be able to change the ways that I eat, because I have the most major sweet tooth you can imagine. Now, I did eat cake on my birthday. I did eat cake on my birthday, tiramisu more specifically. But I'm back to my ways, like chicken, fish, broccoli, all the good healthy stuff, protein with every meal, no white sugar or refined sugar, yes to fruits, you know, yes to portions as I like, but just like no carb focused meals, okay? And that's gonna be until my wedding, and I have never actually enjoyed that so much. And now when I eat like a carb heavy meal, I actually don't feel that great, which is a bit annoying, because I guess you're also kind of like making your body start choosing healthier stuff, but also like your body gets a little bit cleaner and less okay with eating whatever. That's probably not the greatest thing, but I'm also loving the fact that my body feels like more toned in terms of muscles because I'm eating more protein, and I never realized how important that is. But now that we also all of these longevity reports, and we know that actually your skeletal muscle is so important, especially for a woman. I mean, what else can I tell you? So yeah, the healthy diet is going very well. Which part of wedding planning do you enjoy the most and which the least? The most I enjoy is the dress process, the dress, shoes, jewelry, planning that, okay? That's my fashion part, I guess. I mean, I think that makes sense. The least I enjoy is everyday questions. Now, my friends and family have a very important, like, ask. I've asked them all to not ask me any questions, and I have to say that most of them are actually respecting that requirement. Even my mom, I've asked, like, please, please, please don't ask me. What I don't enjoy is people asking me, how do I put this? Okay. So for me, this is like the most important private event that I've had so far in my life, right? The only other important private events I've had in my life were like my 30th birthday, my graduation ceremony. You know what I mean? Like, this is like the biggest and most important private event of my life. What sometimes annoys me, or what I don't like about it, is when people are like asking me, like, I have so many questions. So like every day I have to answer so many questions to the wedding planner. Like, have a look at all of these decorations. Which kind of style do you want of the aisle decoration? Which kind of chairs do you want for the aisle? Which kind of, I don't know, like cake, design, flavor, food, menu, drinks, musicians, this band, that band, the dinner table arrangements, the flower arrangements, the colors of the flowers, the types of flowers, the entrance, the transportation, the hotel, the so many different things that have to be thought of, that then I find it quite challenging, because every day is like hundreds of decisions to be made and like so many questions. And like, honestly, every week we have 2-hour calls about wedding. That then I find it a bit like frustrating when people like are sending me options of like, well, like, should I wear this or should I wear that? Or like, oh, how am I gonna get there? Or, oh, and I'm like, I have so many other things to think about that I don't enjoy that part of the wedding. You know what I mean? And honestly, the way that we've decided to get married is to make it as easy for our guests, and our guests were like our number one priority. Like, so when planning our wedding, Philippa and I, we actually wanted to get married in Capri. Like, that was our first choice, okay? Because we love Capri. But we realized that this would be very, very logistically difficult for our guests. So we did not want to get married in Capri, because to get to Capri, you have to fly to Naples, then you have to take a car, then you have to take a boat, and then when you arrive there, you have to take like a taxi only to Piazzetta, and then you have to walk, but your luggage goes separately. And for a lot of people, especially older people, that's really annoying, right? So we wanted to make everything like as perfect for our guests. So just sometimes I feel like, is it selfish from me to not really want to answer even more questions about the wedding? Is that like a really bad thing of me to do? I don't know. But another thing that I don't like is like, I don't know if it's really a thing, but the other day we were at the dinner and a friend asked me like, so everything is ready, right? And I was like, no, everything is not ready. And she's like, what? Why is not everything ready yet? And that made me really anxious. So I think like I don't enjoy actually speaking about wedding because people's reactions are quite like stressing me out, and like questions are stressing me out. So I think like I used to ask brides all the time, like, oh my God, is everything ready for your wedding? Or how do you feel? And honestly, when they would say like, no, not everything is ready, I would always say like, don't worry, everything will be like ready on time. So it kind of like shocks me when people tell me like, what? Why is not everything ready? And I got quite annoyed at that question. You know what I mean? I don't know why not everything is ready, because I have a full-time job, because this is not like all I want to do all day, every day, just plan the wedding. And because it's not. There's so many things to do and only so much time. So that part of the wedding planning I enjoy the least. People who stress me out with their numerous questions, I guess. Seems like you shop a lot, but do you have any hobbies? I actually quite like this question. I guess like my hobbies are not quite the hobbies that I can show here on YouTube channel. First of all, I'm learning Italian. It is a language that I can now communicate in fully. And just this week, I watched several movies in Italian, which obviously makes me very happy to admit that I could understand fully. So learning Italian, I would say my hobby number one. In general, learning languages is something I'm very passionate about, but I think it's also very important, and it's not definitely the last language that I want to learn. So yeah, Italian every single day. Every single day of my life, I learn Italian, okay? Then the second thing that I would say is my new hobby, kind of, is playing chess. I remember when I looked at the kind of rules of how to play chess, I was like, who's gonna remember this? This is like so difficult. Like a pawn moves like this, but it can only like take the other figure like this. And then the bishop moves like this. And then the queen can move so many different ways. And then the king only one spot. And I was like, oh, wow, it is so complicated. And then grasping the checkmate was like so difficult, and I was like, I'm never gonna grasp how to checkmate people. Like, this is way too difficult. But actually I got so into it. I played more than 100 chess games, guys, more than 100, and I very often play with my nephews. Actually, they're the main reason why I started playing chess, to play with them, because I love them so much and I love to play those kind of games with them. So I really, really, really love playing chess, and I think it's great for your mind. So yeah, I really enjoy it, and I'm gonna get better. I need to get better at it. But other hobbies that I have that you might not know about me, but Filippo knows very well, is I'm very, very, very curious person. But the one thing that I'm the most curious about are religions. And I love to learn about religions. I love to, first of all, learn about my religion. And other than that, I'm deeply interested in other religions. So at the moment, especially now around springtime, pretty much, I want to say within this 30-day window, there are a lot of big holidays in different religions. Like there was Eid just a few days ago, there's Easter, there's a Catholic Easter, there's an Orthodox Easter, there is a Passover. There are like so many holidays around this time of the year. It's not a religious holiday, but there was like a Chinese New Year as well in February. And I always ask my friends, because I have friends from all different cultures and religions. So it's not just religions I'm interested in, also the cultures. And like, for example, when it was like Chinese New Year's Eve, I was like asking my friend Tina, like, so what should we do now? Like, which day do I wash the hair on? Which day do I not wash the hair on? It's like a really, really interesting thing for me. This is something, I don't know if you can call it a hobby, but I'm genuinely a very, very curious person about learning about different religions. So it is a big interest of mine. I guess like in terms of fitness, my current big hobby is I have my fitness routine. I work out 4 times a week. It's something that I became actually very passionate about this year, and specifically about lifting small weights and like workouts with like small weights. I actually became very passionate about that. You guys know I do also Pilates, and I really enjoy Pilates and I love it. And it's something that I got into a year and a half ago actually, and I like it especially for my mind and for my back, because I used to have big back problems before. My other hobbies are traveling. I mean, traveling to new destinations and just like really getting immersed into it. Some of these things like are very difficult, I think, to present on social media. Like, how do I tell you that like, yes, I'm learning Italian or I'm playing chess without you guys dying of boredom? Honestly, nobody wants to see that. So yeah, my hobbies are just not very like social media performative, and it's not something that I show on social media, but I actually have quite a few hobbies. Like one of my other big interests are gems, like gemstones. And I just told Filippo, like I would actually really like to finish a course in gemology because I generally like really, really love like learning about gems and stones. And if anybody has an advice on that, like I would take it with so much pleasure. Are your friends excited for your wedding? My friends are, I think, definitely too much excited about my wedding, but they unfortunately also have a ban, especially my closest friends, on asking me questions about the wedding because it makes me anxious. So they're excited, but they have to speak amongst themselves. And I think that's also okay. They have something to talk to each other instead of talking to me about. Is that also selfish from me? Please tell me. I don't know. But at the same time, this is the one time in my life that I don't care about if I'm being selfish or not, because I feel like it's supposed to be our day that we share with our loved ones, and that's all I care about. What is the best thing you learned in therapy? Wow, guys, there are so many good things that I've learned in therapy. First of all, I think my therapist is amazing. Like I've been going to therapy for 3 years and she's wonderful. But the one thing that I could tell you is this. So I think I told you in this video already that I very often question myself when something goes wrong. So if there's a problem between me and someone else, I always question myself and I think it's my fault maybe. And I'm quite highly empathic person. So it means that I feel sorry. Like the other day I cried at the airport. I think I told you the story because somebody was crying. Like I can really relate to people. But there are times that bad things happen to people or like something happens to people and I'm like, I can feel a lack of empathy. So I was quite concerned about myself. And the one thing that I learned as a previous victim of narcissistic behavior, several times I was a victim of narcissists, I learned that I have managed my pathways in a way that I don't allow narcissists anymore to manipulate me by me feeling sorry for them. So there are people who very often like to make themselves victims, and they are victims, like it's terrible situations, but they like to especially use the terrible situations to make people feel sorry for them so that they can manipulate them into liking them, into sticking around, into staying with them. And this is one thing that I would like to kind of like say as a message. The narcissists are so good at making genuinely empathic and sensitive and emotional people feel sorry for them and stick around longer to them so that they can damage them more or harm them more, because that's the best way narcissists manipulate. And at like the age of 30, I said, okay, enough of narcissists manipulating me by making me feel sorry for them. So that's one thing that I feel like I understood through therapy, because I asked my therapist, like, why don't I feel sorry for this person? And my therapist said, because you've had enough of this person manipulating you through you feeling sorry for them. So that's the best thing that I learned through therapy. And also to recognize narcissists much better, because like I said initially, I am a perfect victim, like perfect victim. In general, when you're a people pleaser, you are a perfect victim for a narcissist. Why are you never invited to the Chanel fashion show during Fashion Week? This is like a very, very simple answer actually, because I just don't work with that brand. I don't have any relationship with Chanel. I only went once to Chanel show, and that's because Naomi Campbell invited me, so we went together. And it was actually the best experience of my life. Like coming to the fashion show with Naomi, like any show, it's just like the most insane like experience ever. But yeah, like there are many brands that would like not invite me to the show, or there are many brands that would invite me to the show, but for example, would not want to fulfill some of my personal requirements, and then I would not go to their show. Like, because I know it sounds kind of crazy, but there's only so much you can do in a day. And if a brand or a company does not fulfill your requirements for you to give your time and preparation and content, etc., to go to the show, and I'm not talking monetary, I'm talking general requirements or a relationship that you can have with that brand, then you don't go, even if you are invited. But just to make it clear, for Chanel, I'm not invited. So yeah, and I feel very fine with that. It's not something that I dwell over or I feel uncomfortable with. I think that there's so many brands, and I'm quite happy that there are so many things to achieve in life, that there's always more to achieve. Because the moment that there's no more to achieve, it means that you can only lose. Okay, this was an interesting question as well. If you move to Monaco and stay there more than in Milan, will you keep Annabelle, or how are, I don't know, I think if you keep Annabelle sounds a bit like she's a pet. I mean, no, she's such a valuable part of my team, and also like it's not my job to discuss also like her wants and needs in her career at the moment, but we're definitely staying working together. This does not affect anything. I have a lot of like long distance team members. Like when it comes to those kind of jobs, like assistant job, I definitely need someone who's going to be very close to me. But I worked with Annabelle now for over 3 years, I think, and we have like her role has grown so much that, you know, she can now evolve into doing something else also, even if we don't spend as much time together within the same company, just to make sure that that's clear. I receive daily probably 4 to 5 questions asking me if Noah is available in Serbia. I don't know if it's like people just messaging this for the sake of messaging. Be honest with me, okay? Be honest. Are people sending these messages just for the sake of messages, or because they're genuinely curious if the brand is available there? Because all you need to do is put in the basket and check if you can ship it to your country, whichever country, is not just Serbia, like any country. I'm getting lots of questions. Is it available here? Is it available there? But currently we are shipping worldwide. We just have problem with 2 countries in the whole entire world, which is so crazy. Spain and Belgium, but that's only for the next 2 weeks, literally. So Belgium and Spain, we're having problems with shipping there because of their country's regulation that don't apply to the rest of the European Union, but we are specifically, so that we can also ship to those countries, translating our whole packaging also to abide with the rules of Belgium and Spain. So that's also going to change very, very soon. And honestly, I'm so happy and so grateful. Is there a wood? No, but this will do with how Noah is doing. I'm so grateful to you guys. The other day, like a lady ordered 16 bottles of Noah. My mom called me immediately. She was like, oh my God, someone just ordered 16 bottles like in one order. I have to say, like, and it was like a repeating customer, you know? And I'm just so happy and so grateful and so thankful with how great this brand is doing that, I don't know, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. So basically, we ship worldwide, besides Belgium and Spain, which we're figuring out at the moment, but in the next 2 weeks, Belgium and Spain will be back on. Filippo is calling me. Yes, love of my life. I want to shop your whole closet, but also some more affordable options. Of course, you guys. So, if you want to shop my closet, first of all, on the blog, we have Shop My Instagram page, which is where you can find every single Instagram post linked, like items I'm wearing. On the blog itself, we have a lot of high street options. So what I've done is if you click on fashion or style, whatever it's called, currently, I don't know, we change it on the website. Let me check now. So you go on the glamandglitter.com, okay? And then you click on style. There you will find, like, for example, best spring leather jackets for 2026, and a lot of them are going to be affordable options as well. Then 5 spring outfits we love, then Milan Fashion Week outfits, okay? Best high street trends 2026, affordable pieces that look expensive. So I select for you a lot of affordable options as well. I'll put a QR code here for the blog so you can go and check it out. And also, if you want to shop my looks and my pics, I'm also on the LTK app. So I will leave a QR code in the other corner, and if you scan it with your phone, you can go on the app, you can follow me there, and if you follow me there, you will be able to kind of like receive regular outfits that you can shop. And we always try to kind of link some affordable options as well. I kind of like this question, which says, what are my top 3 Teta songs, okay? So I think it's quite a difficult one, but wait, I'll tell you now. For sure, all-time favorite, Volim because it's like, I love the lyrics of that song, okay? Then, Ime I Prezime, I love. Beograd, it's like so legendary, you cannot not love that, you know what I mean? But there are so many that I like. So, what bad habits are you trying to change? I'll be very quick with this. Every single year, I make sure that I change a few bad habits. So last year I stopped drinking Diet Coke. After years and years and years of being a heavy Diet Coke drinker, I completely stopped in August, went cold turkey, and that's it. So every year I try something. This year, the habit that I'm trying to stop is very important to me, but I'm not succeeding very well. However, I am being more aware of it. So by the time it's end of the year, hopefully I will be better of it, is doing this when I'm thinking. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. I don't know why I do it, but I do this when I'm thinking. And now when I catch myself, I'm like, no, stop. So I'm catching myself now when I'm doing it. But every single year I have some bad habits that I cut out. And I'm very proud of myself for doing that because I think it's very important to me. Now, this question made me laugh, so I have to answer it. Does your team have a monthly paycheck? Guys. In this company, we do not believe in unpaid work. It's very important to me that my team has a monthly paycheck. Sometimes like people reach out to me and they're like, hey, I would like to work for you for free. And we say absolutely not, because we either have a paid role or we don't have a paid role, but we don't do unpaid work, because when someone works for me, I have a lot of expectations and I want to know that I pay a salary for someone to do their job. It's important for us. But at the same time, I think I am quite demanding, and I also think that for me, it's important, I think it's very important for young people, especially young people, to be paid, but also it's important for me, like sometimes people are like, hey, I would like to get a job with your company and learn. And I'm like, we're not at a position anymore where we have so much work that we cannot have like learners, because all the roles are paid. It's quite difficult for us to have people that don't know how to do anything but want to learn on job, because then we just really need people who can do the job, if that makes sense. And that's quite tricky. But I think everybody can do something. You know what I mean? Whether it's, as Annabelle said, bringing the boxes to the post office, or like doing like quick like coffee runs or errand runs, or whether it's something more senior, etc. I think like everybody can do something. So yeah. Favorite facial treatment, your skin is so glowing. Thank you so much. I just had, my favorite is hydrofacial with microneedling and exosomes or biosomes. That's my favorite. I really love, those are like my favorite. So yeah, I think this video is way too long now, you guys. And I just want to quickly check if any new good questions came up. What will be with the Milan apartment? I think I answered that question as well. We are keeping our Milan apartment, so nothing is changing there. Is there anything that makes you nervous about getting married? No, I cannot wait to be Filippo's wife, which, yeah, it's very, very, very exciting for me. The only thing that is making me nervous is when people, like I told you, are asking me like, why not everything is ready, etc. What do you do with their mess boxes? Should I throw or keep them? I throw them away. What am I gonna do? Like keep the orange boxes to collect dust? I think I'm gonna stop it here. No question, just say my husband and I watch every vlog. Thank you so much. That's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for asking questions if you asked. If you have more questions, you can leave them in the comments below and I'll make sure to answer to them, whether here or in the community chat. I love you guys. You mean so much to me. I hope I clarified a lot of the things that you maybe were wondering. Really, really thank you for every single view, comment, like, every piece of support. Thank you. That allows us to do more, to produce more content for you guys, to do better, and to entertain you hopefully more. I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.